Great. Hello, everybody. Yeah, this is a video for any parents. Hi, by the way, I don't know if you know me. My name's Henry Dingle. I'm a mentor and tutor and coach for teens, and I run a parent community and a company called the Young Fire Academy with my wife. So yeah, this is a video for parents who are worried that their or your teens are not going to get their GCSEs. So here in England, that's the kind of exams we do. If it's other kinds of exams, not GCSEs, then whatever. If you've got a teenager who's basically not looking like they're going to succeed with their academic career, same kind of thing. So yeah, that this is for you. It's inspired by a couple of parents that I've been in touch with last night who were sharing on a group call that we have as part of our Young Fire Academy. There's a parent program as well as a teen program in the way that we work. And yeah, they were just sharing about their situation, that their fears, basically in some ways their fears, and some of that letting go of the conventional pressures and expectations that is so pervasive for parents. Let's just focus on GCSEs. In the GCSE year 11, year 10, year 11, there's such a huge amount of pressure on us as parents to fulfill that conventional objective of getting 8 GCSEs or at least 5 GCSEs or just English and maths or whatever. However, however low down we're tumbling through that order, and don't take that personally if you're down at the bottom there or beyond the bottom. Excuse me. Um, yeah, incredible pressure to try and meet those standards. And some of those standards you might have set out just thinking, well, they've got to get this. This is my lowest bar. And that could be sevens, eights, nine, all nines. That could be for everyone, it's completely different. It could be all their GCSEs passes. It could be just what they need for the next sixth form college. It could be just, well, they've got to get 5 GCSEs because that's what I'm told they need. It could be they've got to just get their maths and their English language because that's what's needed for the next stage. Or again, that's what everyone says you just have to have. And of course, all of this is true in a way, and in another way, wow, it's just yeah, it's an intolerable pressure and kind of inappropriate for some young people's journeys, basically. So yeah, this video is going to be packed full of insights and suggestions for you to help you if this is where your mindset is, or this is where your head's at, and you're really worried or you're regularly concerned that your kids are just not going to make it. Yeah, watch all of this, as everybody says, but it's definitely going to be true in this case. Watch this to the end, watch it or listen to it whilst we're all parents here, I'm presuming. So, whilst you're washing up, driving, dog walking, working out, no problem. Stick it on. I'm just going to be sitting here. You don't have to watch it. You can just listen to it. But yeah, see it through to the end because I want to just start with a few stories. Yeah, about these clients to go into some other parents that I think you might be able to relate to and what they're facing. So every Thursday, it's just on this channel, I'm recording a long form video like this. So it'll be here for you each week. Carve out this time to come here and learn from me. Trust me, I have a lot of experience. I'm yeah, enjoying incredible results with the families that I'm working with the parents I'm working with, and with the teens, because I run a program for both simultaneously. So I'm sure if you want to find out more about that, by the way, you can find out in the comments. But yeah, so, I also just one parent this week said, Henry, no one is talking like you, which was really, that's how I feel. And that was also really validating to me, really heartening to me to be told that. And I feel really fired up about what we're going to be putting through this channel. The gloves are going to come off. Some of my shyness and restraint is going to be evaporating. And, I want to go all out. I've got a lot to say and I'm going to say it. So, I know next year I'll be giving a TEDx talk and starting to speak in schools and community events. So, yeah, this channel is going to be each week offering half an hour to 45 minutes of something that I think will really empower your relationship with your teen, your ability as a parent to contribute to your teens, specifically in relation to their academics, but also just in general. My interest is really just in what each teen needs, at this age and stage from you as a parent and from me as a coach and from anyone else around them, and just what they need to learn for themselves to really set themselves up for a great life. So yeah, subscribe to the channel, of course. And yeah, the parents that have inspired me, one parent situation, just to go into it, she's, her daughter's just got her mock results back and she's got a three, some twos and some U's. So, really not great results from their perspective. They really are hoping that she's going to go on and do A levels. Her daughter actually, especially, has that conventional sense of like, I've got to do A levels because anything else, vocational stuff or BTECs or anything is just kind of for stupid people. I'm just going to say what she would say. So she's got that stigma, which again, wow, we're going to be working on that. Her daughter and me, that mindset, I don't believe that at all. Um, so yeah, she has a lot of school troubles. She can't respect teachers who can't respect her. And yeah, these are the kind of students I really like to meet, to be totally frank, because I get that. I understand that. And I like that kind of the principles, the fire in their belly. I like that in a young person. I really want to nurture that. But she's also kind of trapped a bit between her own arrogance, her own sense of her own ability, and the worthlessness of her results. She didn't put anything into her mocks because she didn't want to fail. She didn't want to try because she didn't then want to feel stupid or look stupid for doing badly. So she just gave them nothing. So now she's in a position, we're working together. She's got 6 months to pull it together, which is not very much time for these grades to go from a three and some twos and some U's to all passes or five passes or whatever it is she needs for the next step in her academic career. So, in the meantime, she's hiding in inactivity. Really, she has been. I've only been working with her for a month, so she's been hiding in inactivity, a lot of TikTok and phone usage, and a lot of avoidance. Like I said, this idea of like, well, I'm not gonna work for my mocks because I don't want to then do badly and feel even worse about them. So, there's quite a lot to unpick there, and we've already had absolutely euphoric results in what she's doing with me. She's in exactly the right state in some ways and position to really know she needs help and wants help. She's desperate to, like I say, do A levels, not to have to go to the college that she doesn't want to go to do something other than that. But the reality for the parent and for her is that maybe it's too late. That's one parent. Another parent has a son who's school refusing, has been since June. And his issue is he's brilliant, a very brilliant student, but very dysfunctional right now through teens. COVID and lockdown was very difficult for him. And, he's very high anxiety, a single mum and him, so just him and his mum at home. And, he's smoking a lot of weed. That's one thing that's really challenging for him. So, he really wants to give up, but he can't. He really wants to get his life back together, but it's going to be a long road. Also, incredible few months together with me. So that's a real light at the end of the tunnel for him and a great inspiration for me to be working with him and getting through to him in that way. And yeah, then there's another mum that I wanted to mention just at the beginning, whilst I'm talking stories about parents who are struggling with this kind of thing and who really are feeling so isolated in that dread. Excuse my cough. In that dread of like, it's just me, it's just my kid who's going to fail. This particular mum that I'm thinking of, I worked with a while back, and she was kind of forced into a home educating situation. Her older two children both went through school. One of them loved it, one of them hated it. And then her third child just was going to like something really terrible was going to happen if he stayed at school. He was going to end up just in police troubles, or he was in with a very difficult, dodgy kind of peer group, and it just was not working for him. He also had a lot of pride around how he was being treated by teachers, and so it was just time to get him out. She had to get him out. And so then they started on this journey with me for a lot of it, actually, to get him his GCSEs so that he could then carry on, to the next stage, whatever that might be. five GCSEs was what we were going for, the usual ones, maths, English, language, and literature, which he was doing with me. And then there were others that he could do, to add on to that. So, yeah, it's very hard from a home educating perspective, very hard to do that, to self-study, especially when you're not really naturally like that, or you're not really naturally wanting to, you're not bookish or academic in that way. I never really liked to make those labels, but this particular boy just wasn't really that kind of young adult. Brilliant in so many ways, not really in the academic forum. Not that I'm saying he's not bright, just not really a student, not really a books and reading sort of person, not really a sitting down and thinking kind of person, more a doer. And that's basically probably half of our population that immediately don't fit our schooling system because of that. But so yeah, he's one of them. And it's yeah, t kind of rock and a hard place. Really hard to kind of do it on your own, not to be running with the pack. Outside of institutions where it's much easier to run with the pack, but for some people, when they go into those institutions, it drains the life out of them. Like that's not really the solution either, to be running with the pack, getting these dismal grades or getting kind of average grades and kind of losing your life meaning and purpose. So that is one of the costs of the hoop jumping for someone who's not really fully engaged in it. I'll speak a little bit about the Young Fire Academy program and what we're doing to address that, which is everything we can pull in to that situation, everything we've discovered that can make a difference there in that situation. That's what we do. Yeah, so those are the yeah, and there's that one other mum, sorry, that I'm working with also at the moment, just has this constant doubt coming up. It just constantly comes up. Well, is my daughter going to do well enough? For me, it's like often to do with stepping back, trusting, enabling them to take up ownership and responsibility for their own studies rather than being one of those parents that's constantly trying to push them up and over the hill, and getting worse and worse results whilst you're doing it. Lots of family acrimony and conflict, and less motivation, less and less authentic ownership on the student's part to actually pull it together, which is essential. Let me tell you, for GCSEs, no one else can do that apart from the student. There's so much to think about, so much to prepare for. Each subject, you need to be thinking, how can I do, what can I do to improve in that? What am I going to need for the exam? If the student's not thinking like that, from quite a way back before the exams, then wow, there's nothing that can really replace that. So yeah, this particular parent just has a genuine sense of like, her other older child has found it really easy, did really well. She's a mum who was really academic, loved writing, loved essays, loved kind of Macbeth, all this kind of thing, and her daughter just doesn't. So there's a constant feeling of like, well, are we failing her? Is there more we could do? Shouldn't we just be coming back to, what we want to revert to is like, just shouldn't we be pressuring her, kind of controlling this situation better, making it happen kind of thing? Shouldn't we be doing that for her or to her? And of course, I mean, for me, the answer is definitely not, mostly based on the results that they were getting from that approach when they first met me. Terrible results. Like I say, lots of conflict, worse and worse motivation at school, and just a real nightmarish kind of time for all of them. So yeah, but the what ifs just keep coming back up for this month. What ifs? What if she doesn't do very well? What if she doesn't pass this subject or that subject? What if we look back and we're like, wow, we really could have, but again, so often this is, let me just say this now, so often this is so pie in the sky, the sense of like, wow, we could have maybe, we should have just got her to like get better grade. It's just it is what it is. There is actually no other way. Like with a lot of the parents I work with, trust reveals itself as a choiceless choice. It's like something that just you can't actually navigate this time without that. There is no other option. They're not going to do what you tell them. They're not just going to suddenly jump to it through some extra element of control or effort on your part. Yeah, it's that there is actually no other option. So sometimes we can think that there is, and we keep thinking, oh, I shouldn't be so trusting, or shouldn't, shouldn't be so, so loving and caring and accepting of them and supportive of them. I should be doing something else. But what is that other strategy? Just be real with yourself. Like, is there another strategy that you can actually bring to this that will really yield deep and long-term benefits for your child, like that's really going to get like the results that you actually want, not the kind of short-term that test got passed because I forced her to like write to revise for 3 hours, even though she hates my guts and she hates the subject even more as a result now, or whatever. Like not those kind of results, like real, like anything that's really going to make a difference, then great. But that's what we want to do. So all right, so yeah, I have a lot of sympathy, like I said, with the teacher-student relationships that are pretty toxic. So let me just call this out. I feel like our systems and our teachers post-pandemic are, that our ethos is kind of softening the approach, that kind of hard disciplinarian approach of a lot of schooling is softening, but it is still so backward. Let me just say it. It's so inadequate. The way teens are often treated in schools is a travesty. So, I just know that from speaking with teenagers. I hear from them, and I'm still feeling like, wow, this is the kind of thing I would expect to have heard 20 years ago. And I can't believe it's still going on, but it does. So this kind of power over thing that teachers have, the control that's built into the system, the discipline, the reward and the punishment system, disciplinary systems, and the way that teachers just survive. And this is really, my heart is also with the teachers. It's a wretched system for a lot of teachers too. Doesn't support teachers to be the best that they can be, that we can be. So I sympathize with that. But to survive in that system, a lot of teachers end up turning to command and control and those kind of draconian measures to try and keep their kids in line. It's a lot of classroom management, and a lot of kids get really trampled all over in the process of that. So I really, when I hear that students are reacting like that, they're rebellious or they're they're resentful towards their teachers. I'm not encouraging resentment, but that they have that inner pride and they don't like to be treated like that, spoken to like that, disrespected like that. I want to meet those kids. I'm excited by them. I'm excited by their fire, and I want to nurture it, for good. To channel that in a positive and beneficial way. And so yeah. A little bit about our program. Yeah, the centerpiece of our program is to find purpose, to find some meaning in all of this, find some meaning in school, to understand why, what's the point, to taste some satisfaction from these subjects. I love English and maths. So for me, I'm totally into English and maths GCSE. When that student is up for it and wants to do it and can see how it can benefit them in all kinds of ways, I'm totally into them. But when they don't, wow, yeah, we've got to get them first of all in that place where they understand and they can feel a sense of like why they would show up to that. Self-direction, yeah, in and out of school. So yeah, one of the parents I was talking about, her child's like set up a business, alongside her studies. She's in year 11 and she's going to be making a lot of independent business. She does like a sort of beauty treatment in her own room, just in her bedroom, and she's got lots of people from Instagram coming, and she's going to make great money this Christmas. That's like a bit of a worry in some ways because she should be revising. But still, this is in the kind of self-direction part of the program. So for me, the program that I'm running is to encourage young people to be self-directed, to learn in a self-directed way, to take responsibility for what they're learning, as in to really take ownership of that. Like, learning really isn't happening until they are, like I said before, just trying to fill in all those gaps for themselves and really just going, yeah, I want to improve in maths, like and finding ways that they can, watching videos in their own time, doing worksheets in their own time. And this again might sound like a dream, but that's what the students in my program are doing. I'm not at all deluded anymore that 1 hour a week with me is going to make any difference to any student, really. I was tutoring, a while back. I'm not a tutor anymore, but 1 hour a week with me could actually, if I'm honest with myself, send them backwards because they got so comfortable with like, oh, I've got Henry every week, so they're like, hey, maths is taken care of. And so actually I found that they did less They were so happy with the sessions. We'd cover great ground in our sessions, but it wasn't enough, nowhere near enough. So the self-direction piece, which is part of the program, was absolutely needed. That the students, I just tell them every week, this is great. We've solved a few problems today. We've learned a few things today. But, if you're not doing 3 or 4 hours in year 11, 3 or 4 hours of extra maths or like at least an hour or two in between our sessions, then, especially towards the run-in, like the other side of Christmas, once they're in the kind of last 6 months or 5 months before the exam, there's got to be a lot of problem solving. I send them videos and worksheets, and they need to do that in their own time and come back and go, yeah, linear graphs. I looked at that. It was great. I had these questions I didn't really understand. Could we look at them? Or whatever it might be, whatever topic, whatever video I've sent them, whatever's come up in our sessions, that's what they need to be doing in between time. And that type of learner is just, it's night and day to the kind of learner that's just showing up and just sitting in lessons and sitting in tutoring sessions or coaching sessions and not just doing whatever's in front of them. They've got no real drive to pull it together themselves outside of that. Yeah, motivation's also a key focus, one of the outcomes that we want from the program. So for me, it's got to be intrinsic motivation. That's the one, their own motivation, finding their own way, finding themselves in a way within this system, not just doing what they're told and suffering that, doing the time that they're forced to kind of do, and then just like that's it, or getting the homework done in a kind of sloppy way just to get it off their backs. Yeah, proper intrinsic motivation to show up for it and do it. And that also can look like, yeah, so anything outside of school, like boxing. One of my students is really into boxing, so he's super motivated to be boxing. He's running every day. So, he's also year 11. He's got that going on, which is, amazing personal drive and motivation, which then feeds into also, he's actually, yeah, also doing lots of maths videos and worksheets as well. So, one type of self-directional motivation kind of begets or begats another. It becomes infectious because you've tasted what it feels like to really be in the driving seat for yourself, not because your parents are telling you to, not because the school's telling you to, just for your own benefit. You're kind of then taking the wheel. It's up to them, and it is up to them. It's the only way it's ever going to get done and be of value to them lifelong, is that degree to which they take it on for themselves. So final outcome of the program is responsibility. They take on that ownership, not just the parent leading, but really for themselves. And again, yeah, the other student who was forced into a kind of home ed situation and whose mum wanted him to get his 5 GCSEs. He did actually get his 5 GCSEs, which is amazing. But yeah, him now, wow, he's studying like an electrical, I wish I could refer to this better, but he's doing like learning to be an electrician basically. And his dad's got a construction company, and he's always worked with his dad in that construction company. And recently, age 17, 18, he's running his dad's construction company. So, his journey through GCSEs was pure self-growth. It was really nothing to do with the final grades. He needed some of them to get into his electrical college, but he could have also done them there. I think at the college, there's always other options for how that can be sorted. So yeah, it's just incredible to see his level of responsibility and ownership now. He's just a full on, I mean, he always was very independent and adult, which is why he didn't fit a kind of babifying school system, at least from his perspective. So yeah, it's no surprise to me that he's now 17 going on kind of 35. He'll just have no worries about his direction. He knows he's going to be in construction. That suits him really well. Like I say, not the kind of guy to be bookish and sat down, much more active, practically minded, and very, very talented and skilled in all kinds of ways that are not celebrated much in schools. So yeah, and the 3 vehicles that we use in the program, which again, I really encourage parents always to take up these 3, and they don't get enough of it in schools or out of school for a lot of our teens. First one, trust. I've mentioned it already to let them to at this stage, if you're getting a lot of pushback or getting terrible results motivation wise, let them do it their way. We've got to believe in them, step back so that they can step up. You have to create that space for them to be able to step into. If you're the one constantly doing it, there isn't that level of trust, and you just get into this kind of vicious circle, like you don't trust them and therefore they can't be trusted. So there's got to be a letting go, a leap of faith in some ways to just open up the space where they could go, yeah, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do. This is the plan I see for my life. And this is how I'm going to play it at this point, with how they're revising, how they're studying, what they're bringing to that, what they want to do next. The more you can kind of start to pass that on to them, the better. So, yeah, second part is then choice. Choice is sorely absent from our education systems, and it really grinds the teens down that no one's asked them actually whether they want to even be there, whether they want to do this stuff. So bringing in more and more choice into their lives is a great balm for them, a great relief for them and for you. Let them decide as many things as you can, open up discussions with them rather than just telling them what to do. And whether you like it or not, basically let them kind of make some decisions, let them make some mistakes. So long as it's not harmful to them or others or like severely detrimental to their future. But be in discussion so that they can even enter into be open to their perspective even then. Just hear them out and find out what they decide. And there's so much responsibility and intelligence and understanding built into every teen I've ever enabled into by bringing them into this kind of atmosphere and space, a trusting atmosphere where they have full choice, including do they want to work with me? That's a question I ask every student I ever meet before we get into like a program together. I want to know, do they want to be there? Like, what do they want to do? What do they want? I want to know the answer to all these questions, or at least get a sense of like, are they open? Are they willing? Are they game? Final thing, fun. So yeah, fun is a non-negotiable to get good results with students. Amazingly, I started out as a tutor, but really I was like, wow, I've got to have fun in my sessions. I've got to feel completely free to kind of be as I am and do what I want to do, like do whatever I think is of most benefit with them, and to join them in that, have them join me in that atmosphere. I want to role model that to them, like complete freedom. My hands aren't tied like a lot of us are in our kind of teaching roles or whatever. So I'm free to let the fun rip, and I want to bring that into our sessions, and I want parents also to bring that into your relationships with your teens. Don't let your home or relationship turn into some kind of battleground at this age and stage. Like, find ways to have fun. It is really not worth sacrificing your relationship, your closeness, your togetherness, your genuine general enjoyment of life for like for trying to force GCSEs, like trying to kind of just crack down on them, trying to discipline them into action or whatever it might be. If if you're getting terrible results from that approach, like wow, just let it go. Like if it's not happening, it's not happening for now. And these approaches, trust, choice, and just more fun. Like let's just connect and be together without agenda for once, and see how that helps your very difficult relationship and situation. So yeah, bring in some fun, find ways to just have a good time where you also aren't like front of mind thinking about GCSEs and trying to kind of communicate that with them at all times, that you're unhappy with how they're doing it or that you really disapprove. That kind of energy is not motivating for a teen. So, having your sincere concerns voiced in a forum where they genuinely, where I keep getting stuck on this word, where they feel loved, accepted, a household, an atmosphere, a relationship where they feel loved, accepted, they belong, it's okay. Things aren't going that great for them academically, but it's their life. Like you're okay, you're there for them. You want to support them in whichever way you can. Yes, you're concerned, but you love them, you're there for them. Let's go bowling, let's just whatever. Gosh, like who cares? In a way, like for one night, let's not care. Let's go bowling. Or I don't know, I'm not even really into bowling, but whatever. Let's go and have some fun. Let's do something fun. And that is so potent for a teen who otherwise feels severely judged, blamed, criticized, boxed in about their academic career or anything else. So, yes. All right. So here's now my final kind of list of like things I would suggest for you beyond what I've already suggested. So the first one is, yeah, just to trust in your instincts as parents. If you're in this difficult situation, you're like really like, wow, we've got to get GCSEs, but we're not going to get GCSEs, or we might not. Trust in your instincts. Don't let society, school, or even family kind of mess with you in that way. If you know what's right for your child, you know your child just needs your love and support and your understanding and that connection and all the things that I would suggest are primary to setting your kid up for life, respect, openness. Um, then give them that, just stay open to the fact they might put it together, that they might learn a lot from the fact that you're not doubling down on them or trying to discipline them or in a way pushing them further and further into dysfunction. Play the long game here. So yeah, trust your instincts and rest with like relax with the intensity of what comes up for you in this space, your own judgment of yourself, your self-criticism or blame of yourself or them, and that sense of responsibility that you have that really can't be acted on. If there's something you can find that's going to be yeah, something you can do that where the effect will be empowering, positive, and long term for your teen and for you, then great, do it. But if not, rest, like let everything be as it is. Like I say, for now, day to day, week to week, just keep the peace, be on the same page with your teen and prioritize love, respect, trust, openness, positive communication, and fun. And see how that gets you through the week. See how much better that feels in the household, and see also what that opens up for your teen to actually start to take responsibility, to start to self-lead, to not feel so much like they're being made to do everything or told to do everything, but that they actually can step into it for themselves. So yeah, the next part is really just to do with surviving school. Like what we really need and want as parents is not the grades to get, if they get the grades, great, of course, like that plays a system. I mean, I'm saying great, of course, but sometimes that can also be really meaningless and like an illusion of your child actually developing themselves ready for life. But school survival, I really mean just preserving your teen's self-respect and dignity, their self-confidence, their self-esteem, their mental health, your relationship with them, your closeness with them, their sense of being approved, not approved of, accepted and belonging in your household and in your family. That kind of survival where there's still like a kind of they've still got a lot of like beauty and potency and fire and joy, like as much of that as that's like surviving school. If it's really hard for them, find ways where they can really still come out in one piece, protect them in that way. That's that's a much bigger objective and agenda than making them get a bunch of grades and paperwork that really where everything else is falling apart. Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth a great deal these days. So that's great. That liberates us to just prioritize much more important things. And yeah, all the way, this is the fourth point, all the way discussions will really help you. Like it's much more open at this age and stage. If you're one of those kind of top down, kind of, I don't know, take this, I mean this with full love and respect, but kind of know it all parents are just like, I know, and this is the way, and I'm in control and whatever. And then, you got to, with the teens, you've got to start opening up much more. Just like, what do they think? Fine. If you listen to them, they will listen more to you. If you ask them and you really listen to what they think, then great. They'd be much more likely to also listen to you and ask them if they actually do want your advice or your input or your suggestions or to share your experience before you do. Save yourself the breath of like a teen that's just like cross-armed, ears blocked, and just like all they can think of is something really savage in response to your talk. So like make sure they're open to actually hear it. to hear you express your concerns. Because if you can create that and you can actually express your concerns, they will take that on board and they will go away with that. And they will also probably see that those are also their concerns. Ask them about their concerns, offer your help, review from time to time, like how's it going? We spoke a couple of weeks ago. I just wanted to check in. Doesn't have to be a long conversation. Just I just want to check in. How are you? How's it going? Is there anything I can do? Is there anything you feel like you can do? Like how are you feeling about it all or whatever? Making plans, forming agreements, and then reviewing. Don't just do it once and they go, oh, they didn't do anything. They can't be trusted or they'll never do it. Don't give up, just review it. Come back to them and just go like, how is it going? Like, are you happy with how things are going now? Keep checking in, and yeah. And finally, at the end of this, well, the last, not finally, I've got a few more things to say. Yeah, this piece, I mean, finally, as in at the end of it all, when they're 25 or, in life, or even when they just step out of institutions and start trying to get work, there's a big difference between a student who has real substance, and this is what I see in these students that I'm working with, whose parents are worried about them not getting their GCSEs in various different ways. Yeah, one of them's absolutely brilliant, could be like an Oxbridge candidate, but he's probably going to get one or two GCSEs at this stage because he's self-studying. He's had a lot of pandemic disruption, poor lifestyle habits. He's smoking a lot of weed. And so, they're just in, and the other one's child's just ended up like, she's now deep into year 11 and getting twos and threes or a three and twos and U's. So, um, there's both of them are really substantial people and they have so much going for them. They have not been emptied out by just kind of trawling their way through the system, just cruising along like cattle, kind of really not getting much out of it. And actually, there's a lot of those kind of students that I'm much more worried about. So, the students are just don't in any way, they're just hoop jumping with no clue like who they are or what they're about. They're just doing what they're told because they're scared of any other route. And they're just, yeah, they're bored and disengaged, but kind of doing the bare minimum, getting through it. We reflected actually in the call last night with the parents, like how that was for us. One parent just said, yes, she got to 33. She was in this kind of apex job. She's like, what the hell am I doing here? This is not what I want at all. And so, like, it's far too late in life to be thinking about it then. I want our teens to think about it now. I want them to really know and be exploring from 14 onwards or even earlier, finding their genuine selves. Like I don't mean that in a kind of, it's obviously like not something that's going to find, but exploring like, who am I? What do I want? What do I like? What am I prepared to get behind? What am I not into? Learning to think independently and really discover themselves through this age, at this age and stage, rather than leaving it till they're like 33 and completely the wrong job. And it's frankly probably too late in some ways. And I don't believe that, but that's not a great position to be in. We could do that now. That's what they should be doing now. So the paperwork, empty paperwork, and just getting some average grades and hating it or whatever, that's the worst route. That is an empty student. And that kind of student turns up in the job interview and they have nothing much to offer. They're not like full of like drive and got eyes that are shining because they know that they want that job. They haven't really had to kind of go after it or identify that that's really what they want. They just need some job and they don't know what to do really. So I know that that's the case. And I'm excited for anyone who really gets gritty at this age to find like what their actual true substance is. And sometimes that comes much more out of the worst kind of situations than the better. These two students that I'm talking about a lot today, whose mums were on the call last night, you know, great. They are learning deep, great, powerful lessons right now. A lot of other teens are just kind of in la la land. They're not really facing anything much. It's all pretty beige, as Kate Tempest would say. They're really facing some serious, yeah, challenges and they're going to grow. Diamonds come from pressure, as everyone keeps saying these days. But I like that metaphor. Like so, this kind of pressure. Many of the students I've worked with over the years, they've come from very difficult challenges, all of them that I've mentioned tonight, and what's come out of that when they're given trust and self-direction, they found their own motivation and taken up responsibility and been allowed to do that by their parents and whatever institutions they're in, is exceptional. It's incredible. It's so exciting. I'm so excited for those students. I can see their power because they're fully in the driving seat and they've had to find their way through a much more difficult route than just going with the flow, doing what they're told, and being a kind of average attendee of a school. So, yeah, we want to aim for substance, make sure our kids really are discovering who they are and getting something out of this process of being in school or being a teenager. Yeah. Plus, I I don't have any statistics or proof of this, but my theory, and really I just have to believe this, and I know this to be the case. Our institutions are changing, our employers are cha employment is changing, education systems are changing because they know that the paperwork is empty. They know that a lot of these grades don't prove anything. The CVs just don't actually show anything like the kind of candidate that's going to walk through the door. So it's a real problem for employers. It's also for academic institutions. They they're excited about like they know what home ed students, for example, are like. They're like, wow, this person's self-studied their way to kind of 2 grades, 3 grades, 5 grades, whatever. That they know what kind of person's going to show up then in their institution. Probably one of their best students, because they've already had to self-direct and take on a lot of responsibility and show a lot of grit to end up where they've ended up. So and same with employers, employers know what a pretty CV looks like, and they know that when that person comes in, they're kind of just they're still cruising. They're cruising just like they did in the academic institutions, and they're still just along for the ride, not really fired up and ready to go, not really knowing what they're about, not really bringing that to the job. So I just feel like there's far more openness for a student that really knows who they are, what they're about, and has that same thing that I'm so attracted to in them. It's just that the shine and the potential and the self-respect and the self-knowing that's growing. That is really appealing for someone to work with, whether it's me working with them as a coach or an employer working with them or an institution taking them on and going, yeah, okay, yeah, you didn't get your 5 GCSEs, but still, okay, some of this you might tell me, they can't get in anywhere if they haven't got this or that. But, I just feel like there's a far greater openness in the institutions of our day to see that the whole system just doesn't really work when we're depending on paperwork that's completely devoid of meaning, can be completely devoid of meaning. So yeah, focus on that, focus on allowing your child to find their genuine self before they're 18, building that self-confidence in them so that they can find their way. Or like I say, they'll spend they will probably spend the rest of their lives trying to do so, like I said about the parent who is 33 and in the best job ever, hating it, apparently the best job ever, what you're meant to be doing all of this for, and maybe we can all relate to this, or some of us can relate to this. Wow, it's just so much bewilderment and confusion that can be addressed at this age and stage, teenagers, by parents and coaches and schools that can really respect them, trust them, ask them what they want, empower them, allow them to find their own intrinsic motivation, allow them to step into responsibility in their own way, and in that way to find life meaning and purpose. So yeah, I know that the students I'm working with, the ones that I've seen, wow, I'm just so excited for them, and I'm more worried about the crowd that are just cruising along, getting their GCSEs, the parents that don't have the same concerns that you might have, that are just like, well, they're kind of going to be fine, but there's a more of an existential crisis going on there than there is for students who are finding themselves and whose parents are really supporting them to do that. So prioritize love and connection with your teen. Um, yeah, there's just such incredible feedback from the families I'm working with who are doing that. Just the win of like, we are connected. My kid comes in and like giggles at the end of my bed now, hasn't done that in years. Speaks with me, asks me about things, hugs me, hasn't done that in years, things like that. So this is profound change from a parenting perspective. This is how you can really support your kid in school and out of school, in life. This is the foundation: love, trust, respect, honesty, openness, communication, and fun. Yeah. Great. I hope that's been helpful. Stay tuned to the channel. Would love to see your comments and just to be in touch. There's many ways of being in touch with us and getting in touch with the Young Fire Academy if you're interested in our work. But otherwise, yeah, just hope it's been a really powerful video and would love to hear how it's been for you. Great. All the best for now. Bye.